Hello, Carr. Well, things going on in Carr, and we're out here at WFEB B101 radio station here in Carr, and I got a special guest with me here today, and he's the owner of this place here. This is Mr. Bruce Carr. Hey, Bruce.
How you doing?
I'm good. Look, for the folks that don't know who Bruce Carr is, which there's probably not many,
I don't know about that.
but could you tell them a little bit something about Bruce and his
Sure.
family?
That I grew up here in Sylacauga. I've been here all my life. My wife Tracy's from Sylacauga. She was a Lambert before we got married. We have two children. Brantley, who is a coach and a teacher at Childersburg. Our daughter Brooke is an ultrasound tech. She works at a vein clinic down in Opelika. Brantley and his wife Brittany, our daughter-in-law, they have three children, great grandchildren for us. We have Blakely, Bentley, and Baylor.
Okay.
Baylor is
All B's.
All B's.
There you go.
And Blakely will be 4 in March. Bentley just turned 2 last week. And Baylor, who's the little boy, just turned 2 months last week. So, of course, we take advantage of them being close by. They live in Childersburg, but I've been here again all my life. I went to Sylacauga High School from first grade, actually kindergarten through 12th grade. After I left high school, I went to the University of Alabama. I got a degree there in communications management, and then I came back, and of course, my parents, George and Noreen Carr, came to Sylacauga in 1950, and my dad took over WFEB in 1950, and then he died in 1984. My mom took it over from that point, and then she wanted me to come back, and after I graduated college in '84, I came back and took over the radio station, and I was here until 2006, got out of it for a while, got in the banking business for about 13 years, and then came back and been back for almost 4 years now. And like I said, I'm from here. Another thing, we don't tell this a lot to people, but I was the mayor here for a while from 2000 to 2004, while I was still here at the radio station as well, and something that I'd kind of always wanted to do, and threw our name out there in 2000 and got elected, and served for 4 years, and it was some good times and not so good times, but
Well, it kind of goes with the job.
it
don't
does.
Bruce?
It's a difficult job to do, and the wheels of government don't turn as fast sometimes as I wanted them to, but I love Sylacauga. Again, I've been here all my life. My wife and I decided when we had children we wanted to stay here and raise our kids here. And both of our children, all 4 of us in the Carr family, went from kindergarten through 12th grade at Sylacauga through Sylacauga schools. I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad I live in Sylacauga.
We're glad to have you here, Bruce, and we love this radio station.
Appreciate
We're
it.
glad you started back on it again and kept it here in Sylacauga. And there's a couple more things I want to talk about Bruce Carr. I didn't really tell you about these, but let's talk about the choir that you're in. You're quite the singer, Bruce. I've heard you a couple times, and you got a beautiful voice.
Well, I appreciate
And your
that.
wife.
Yeah, we go to First Methodist Church here in Sylacauga, and my wife and I both sing in the choir. We both sing in praise band at our church, and it's something that we enjoy doing. Tracy went to Central Alabama Community College. I think it was actually Alexander City Junior College when she was there, ACJC as they called it then. She actually went on a music scholarship when she graduated high school at Sylacauga, so she went to ACJC and sang in choir and choruses and things like that down there, and it's just always something I've enjoyed doing. I've enjoyed singing, basically all my life. I remember, I don't know why I always remembered this, but when I was in the 6th grade at Mountain View School here in Sylacauga, we had some kind of, I think it was a Christmas program, and that was the first time I'd ever had a chance to sing a solo. and did that then in 6th grade. But like I said, I enjoy singing. I make a joyful noise. I think sometimes is a better way to put it, but I really enjoy it. It's something I've always enjoyed doing, and I hope the good Lord lets me continue to do it for a long time.
All right, Bruce, there's one more thing I want to talk about, Bruce.
Okay.
And you're not only here at the radio station, but you also do a little refereeing.
Yeah, I do.
Can we talk a little bit about that? And also, I want to talk about if somebody else would like to get into the refereeing, which we need that real bad.
Right.
What can they do to actually get started?
Well, first of all, I've been doing high school football on the radio since 1984. I took a few years off, like I said, when I went in the banking business, but I've been doing high school football for a long time. My dad did high school football before I came along and on the radio, and of course I played high school. I played high school football at Sylacauga, and then I've had some great teams over the years to deal with. Steve Sprayberry, Tim Orton, when I originally got into it in 1984, is there now. And now Harold Drummonds is my partner, and we enjoy doing it together. But as far as refereeing is concerned, it's kind of something I always wanted to do, but with our son Brantley, who played football at Sylacauga, and then went on and played college football at Huntington College down in Montgomery, it wasn't really something I could do because we were busy following him around and going places and going every other weekend, going out of town somewhere and so forth. But when he finished playing at Huntington, I saw Pete Story. I think y'all know Pete. Pete from Childersburg, and saw him at a function we were at together at Central Alabama Community College one day. And he goes, "Hey man, why don't you come referee with us?" And I was like, "Well, I've always kind of thought about it, but I said with Brantley, doing the things he was doing, I just didn't have the time." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll think about it." He said, "Well, we got a meeting tonight." This was I think it was a Monday. And I said, and I didn't go that week. But the next week, I told my wife, Tracy, I said, "I think I'm going to go see what this is about." Because this, again, it's something I college we wanted to do. And so went to the meeting that night, and I came home, and I said, "Well, I guess I'm a referee." And she goes, "It's that easy?" I said, "Well, we just need bodies.
Right.
That's the big thing. And when we need people." And that's what they were saying. And
kind of like right now, isn't it?
It's right now it's very critical. I mean, we need anybody that's ever really thought about wanting to get involved in refereeing. It's a great time right now to do it. And we were finishing up football with. I know we're going to talk about that here in just a minute, but we're finishing up football. We're in the middle of basketball. There's baseball. There's softball. There's volleyball that you can call. There's soccer you can do. There's several different things that referees can do, and you can do all of these. One person can do 4 or 5 sports if you really want to. That means you're going to be awfully busy, but I mean, we need people right now to step up and become referees, and we're not just talking about men either. We're talking with ladies,
right?
Because
it's not just at the high school level.
No, we
need them in Little League. We need them in Cal Ripken. We need them. At the rec, all these basketball games and soccer games, we need numerous referees.
But that's one thing I do want to mention too, is it's not just for men. It's we need ladies. We have several ladies in our. I'm in East Central Alabama as our association for football, and we have several ladies in our association. We'd like to have more. We need some more people. So if anybody out there wants to be a referee, you can get in touch with me. I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. And I'll get you in touch with the folks that can get you set up and get you on the right track. And again, we need some folks pretty bad right now.
That's right.
I think probably what's going to happen, we kind of talked about this, and I've heard this could possibly happen this coming next football season, is that we may start having some games on Thursday and Friday night, more Thursday and Friday night games, because there's just not enough people out there.
Right.
And I don't know if that'll be a big deal for a lot of folks, but it is probably coming down the road, and I also heard some SEC officials talking several weeks ago on TV, talking about how they're looking for more people, and you don't just jump from walking in the door and say, hey, I want to be a referee to be an SEC official.
Right.
You have to work your way up the ladder to do that. And so the fact that there's not enough people on the low end, when I say low end, the high school, all that, to move up, we need some more folks. And it's starting to affect even higher up. And so anybody out there wants to be a referee, just let us know.
Right. And if you're in the train of thought to just think that nobody from around here is moves on up to the college level, not so fast. We got two Steves right here in our area. They're both in college refereeing now.
Well, and we have several more that are doing it too, in the Division III level and things of that nature.
So you can move up.
Sure, you can, and that's if you have the want to move up. There's ways to get there, and you gotta get in. You gotta work. It's not something that's gonna be easy because it's a pretty tough. I have a different respect for officials now than I did before. Before I got involved in this, but you gotta work at it. You gotta get in the book. You gotta study the rules and all that, and make sure. And you just gotta work at it, and it'll come.
Right. And for those of you that don't really know Bruce is also our go-to guy for sports around our area. And while we're mentioning that, I want to talk a little bit about sports.
Okay.
And first of all, let's talk about something that's been real exciting, caused a great buzz around this town. Let's talk about some B.B. Comer football for a minute.
Yeah, hey, this year, Adam Fawcett and his group made it to the championship game last week, against a very tough 5 team. Only the second time in school history B.B. Comer's been to the finals. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but
Bruce, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we might not have won the game Friday night, but they are our champs. In our area right here, they are our championship team. And like you say, things didn't exactly go their way, but I want to make it clear, they are our champs here around our area.
All right, and I think Adam Fawcett will tell you that I think they had 4 turnovers in the first half. You can't do that against most teams, but especially a team like Fife that's won like 6 championships over the last 10 years or something like that. That sounds like Alabama sort of, but when you have a team like that they're very well disciplined and all that, and you turn the ball over and give them a short field to go on, and it's going to be tough to win. And I think Coach Fawcett will tell you that's one thing that really hurt Comer on Friday. But you know what? The thing is, they didn't give up. They had a great crowd down there cheering them on, which I really appreciate. I didn't have a chance to go. I was going to try to go, but could not make it. And B.B. Comer really brought this town together.
They did.
And I applaud again Coach Adam Fawcett and his staff and the players for doing that. And hey, I think they'll be back next year.
Right. And while we're on the B.B. Comer Tigers, me and Paul's got an interview with Laura Strickland tomorrow. She's got a big announcement to make about the Comer Tigers. I know what it is, but I can't spill the beans because that's her deal. We're going to let her make that announcement. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Now let's talk about Sylacauga High School football.
Okay.
Do you know how close they are to hiring a new head coach yet?
I talked with to directly answer your question, no, but kind of expound on that a little bit. I did talk to the athletic director, Chad Wilkinson, last week. I interviewed him about some other stuff that we were discussing too, but I asked him directly. I said, "What do you have a timeline as far as hiring somebody as far as the next coach at Sylacauga?" He said, "Well, our Christmas present to us would be if we could do it before Christmas." I said, "Well, what do you think? Do you think that's going to happen?" He goes, "I don't know." He said, "It depends. It depends on how many people apply." He said, "I have talked to several people already. This was last week, and I'm sure they probably have continued talking since that time, since we talked." But and then I asked him, I said, "If you could hire somebody by Christmas, would that person start immediately?" And he said, "Well, it depends on again, where they were coming from and could they get out of their contract with the school that they were in at the time and all that. He said, but we really don't know yet. But I know there's a lot of people. Sylacauga has always been a very good job that a lot of people would like to have. I know they've had several people apply. I know the last couple of times that Sylacauga's had to hire a coach, there was 90 to 100 different people that applied for it both times. And so that tells you there's a lot of interest in that. Sylacauga has a great tradition as far as football is concerned. This past year was pretty rough, 0-10. You don't like to do that very often, but I mean, and thank goodness it doesn't happen that often, but I mean, it's one of those things that happened. There's a lot to build on. I'll say this about the team at Sylacauga this year, and of course, again, we do Sylacauga football here on B101. We do Sylacauga basketball, and we do Sylacauga baseball. I will say this, that I never saw the team quit, even though they were getting beat every week. And it's tough, getting beat week after week after week.
But they still tried.
Right, they were still trying, and they didn't give up. But I hope we can get somebody hired before too long and get them entrenched in what's going on here and start building this program back up. But I don't know any more than anybody else does as far as when they're gonna hire somebody or whatever. But I just hope we find the right person that can bring Sylacauga back.
I do too, Bruce. Now let's move on to UAB has got a new hire, Trent Dilford, and he's only the 7th head coach in program history. But what do you think about that hire?
Trent Dilfer was a high school coach. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I heard that he was playing for a state championship in Tennessee last week. Don't know if they ended up winning that game or not. But so he's a very successful high school coach. And of course, Trent Dilfer is, I believe, went to San Diego State. I believe played quarterback at San Diego State. Went on to be an NFL quarterback. I think he won World, Super Bowl championship in the NFL.
He did.
So he understands what it takes to get to that level. It is a strange hire for UAB. I get it, but at the same time, he can talk to these kids. I know what it takes to get to the next level. There's a lot of college coaches out there that don't know. They've never been there. They don't understand that.
Right.
And but Trent Dilfer knows what it takes to get to that level, and so I think that it is a little different hire, but I think it could end up paying dividends for UAB in the fact that he can recruit some kids that have aspirations to play at the next level and play in the NFL.
They know from his experience,
And so he can sit there and kind of guide them along and what to do and all that. Is this probably a stepping stone for him? Is he wanting to go to a bigger program? Probably, but UAB's not a bad job either.
To me, it's a big program.
It's a pretty decent program, and but I think Dilfer will be okay there as long as the people get behind him, and he's got the support of the athletic department and the athletic director and the president of the school, and that's what and we saw that at Auburn. If you don't have everybody behind you, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
And but Dilfer, I think they're probably giving him a little bit of money to come, and
UAB's got a big fan base.
They do,
and like you say, they get behind him,
right.
And I think the program will be, continue to be a success.
I think he'll be.
I mean, they're going bowling.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good hire. Now, let's move down on the plains.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Auburn. They got a new coach, Hugh Freeze, and I'd like to say I'm glad they kept Cadillac on the payroll. He did a lot of amazing things for Auburn. They had got kind of down, and I guess not winning will do that to you.
Sure.
But Cadillac got them pumped up again. I'm not sure that he was the hire for a head coach. He might be building up to that. But what do you think about Hugh Freeze?
Well, Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss. a lot of people may remember this, may not. Hugh Freeze beat Alabama twice, 2 years in a row. And he's one of the only coaches to do that, to be honest with you, since Nick Saban's been there. But and then he left Ole Miss, unfortunately, and sat out for a year or so, I believe, and then went to Liberty and was there for a while, and has now come back to the SEC at Auburn. Hugh Freeze was, I think, from what I've been told, that's who they wanted the whole time.
He's been in the conversation,
Sure.
do you know, the whole time. Yeah.
The athletic director, Auburn hired a new athletic director. I think it was October 31st, around the same time that Harsin got let go. Brian Harsin got let go, and then they named Cadillac, Williams as the interim coach, and he did bring some life back into the program, and but I think it was very smart on Hugh Freeze's part to keep Cadillac on. He's an associate head coach now,
right?
And the running backs coach, which is what he was doing before. And I think Cadillac, and Hugh Freeze made a funny comment about Cadillac. Said, "I'm gonna need you to be running up and down the sidelines for me because I can't do that anymore."
Can't do that anymore.
But I mean that's
right.
that's Cadillac's style, and
that's just his mentality.
I think that Hugh Freeze was very smart in keeping him on. I think when Brian Harsin came to Auburn, Cadillac was there then too, and he kept Cadillac on then. But I remember Cadillac. Actually, Cadillac, when he played at Etowah County, came to Sylacauga and played back when he was in high school. Let me tell you what, he was the real deal. He put about 185 on Sylacauga that night, and they won a playoff game. And then he went to Auburn, was All-American at Auburn, and went to the NFL. And he understands again what it's like to go to the next level. And so Hugh Freeze I think he did an excellent job by keeping him on. And time will tell. I mean, it's one of those things where everybody seems to be behind Hugh Freeze, which you got to have. Right. But you know what? If he doesn't win football games, it's people's minds get a little short especially when you're paying guys. I think he's going to be making about $6 million a year, and we want instant gratification now.
Sure
we don't say okay, you went 5-6 this year. It's okay. You do it again. And you do it again, you're probably gone. Even though you have a 6-7 year, I think he's got a 6 year
Well, that's
contract.
just the way it is, especially in the SEC.
Well, I mean,
you got to win ball games.
But you got, when you're paying somebody that much money, you want you want wins. That's what you're paying them for. And
that's right.
I won't never forget. Nick Saban came to Alabama, and I think he went 7-6 his first year. I'm like, man, I could go down there and do that. Of course, look what's happened since that time. But you got to win. I mean, it's a win or go home situation, right. and only time will tell with Hugh Freeze. Right. But he said the right things when they introduced him last week as the head football coach at Auburn, and I guess like I said, we'll just see what happens from this point on.
Right, I think it's a good hire.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Alabama. Let's talk a minute about the Tide and Nick Saban. He's 15 10-win seasons. That is amazing in itself.
It's the first time it's ever been done.
Right. And when you look at these stats, you kind of understand why us Alabama fans feel about Nick Saban the way we do. We just missed another national champion playoff, though. Do you think the right 4 teams was chosen?
Well, I mean, you got to look at there's two let's see, there's only one undefeated team in the top 4. All the other 3 have 1 loss. There's never been a 2-loss team in the top 4 since it's been going on for almost 10 years now, or 9 years, however long it's been. So there's never been a 2-loss team that's made it to the top 4. And I understand that too. And they say the committee really puts a lot of emphasis on the conference championships and things of that nature. In this situation, you've only got 1 conference champion that's in there, and that's Georgia. And so one thing that I hadn't really thought about, do I think obviously I'm an Alabama fan too, but as an Alabama fan, obviously I wanted Alabama to be in there,
but you understand the two losses.
Sure, but and one thing that I've heard Coach Saban say Saturday night during one of the games is the fact that if you put Alabama up against the top four, the ones that were supposedly going to be there, Georgia, TCU, Ohio State, and Michigan, he said, if you put us up against those four, would we be an underdog? He said, I can almost bet you we wouldn't be, but maybe one of them.
Right.
And he knows and so
just Georgia,
and this is just Georgia. But he said the other three, would we be underdogs? If we wouldn't be underdogs, then are the four best teams in there? So I hadn't really thought about it that way, but the committee didn't think about it. The committee was looking at. I think the only thing they really looked at was the two losses.
Right.
And Coach Saban tried to, that was we weren't at full speed then, but you know what? That's football. That's a part
That's
of
his job.
Right. He's got to take up for his program.
That's right.
But too, you got to also. It's a situation where, that's a part of football. That's what happens. You get people hurt. It's not. Are you going to get hurt when you play football? It's when you're going to get hurt. Because if you play it right, you're going to get hurt eventually. And so in that situation. They did lose 2 games, and he said we lost on the last play of both games. We lost by 4 points total. One of the teams lost by 22 at home, and he's just taking that for his program. But I think the biggest thing was the 2 losses, and you just build on that, go about your business, and go play in the Sugar Bowl and have a good time in New Orleans, and then get ready for 2023, because in 2024 they're going to start. It's expanding. Right. The playoffs are going to expand to 12 in 2024. So, and you've got Texas and you got Oklahoma coming into the SEC as well in a couple of years, and it's not going to get any easier in the SEC than it is now. And supposedly they're going to do away with the East and the West, and it's going to be a whole different ball game come a couple of years from now as far as that's concerned. But Alabama, has not been in it just 2 years out of the 8 or 9 that's been going on. So I think this is the first year. I saw something yesterday where this is the first year that Alabama nor Clemson were in it for the first time since it started. So, and it is what it is. It just wasn't Alabama's year. And Alabama fans, and I'm one, and I'll tell you, I'm spoiled rotten.
But
it is what it is. And that's one of those things where we're used to, Alabama fans are used to winning. When we lose, it's like, what? Right. We lost? Right. No, we Alabama didn't do that, Right. But it just wasn't. It wasn't the year, and we learn from it and move on.
Right. Be honest with you, Bruce. With the 2 losses. Still being number 5 in the country, I kind of like that.
Yeah, and we're ahead of Tennessee.
We could have been way down farther than that.
Yeah, and they're ahead of Tennessee, which beat Alabama, and all that. So, but it's one of those, like I said, you just learn from it and move on, and and you just take your lumps and see what happens next year.
Yeah, we covered all, Bruce. You got anything else we want to talk about today?
I just appreciate the opportunity to y'all think about me. Obviously, you were scraping the bottom of the barrel when you want me to be on here. And
like I said, you're our go-to sports guy.
Well, I appreciate it. I enjoy sports. I've enjoyed sports my whole life. I got that from my dad. My dad was a sports nut. My dad used to keep stats. He was a stat guy. And I found after he died, I found old books where he had just pages and pages and pages of stats of different players that he kept up with over the years. He was a big Alabama fan too. My mom was a big Alabama fan, and so I grew up in a household of Alabama fans. I have an older brother that's an Alabama fan too, and both of his kids went to Alabama, and all that. So. But yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. I enjoy what I do. I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't know. I never thought I'd do anything else. I had to get out of it for a little while, and now I'm back, and I appreciate the the opportunity that Lake Broadcasting, who owns WFEB now, and has given me the opportunity to come back. I do the morning show every day here from 6 to 9, Sylacauga Live, and Monday through Friday, and we do a little bit of everything in that show. But I just appreciate the opportunity afforded me to be here today, and I guess we're done.
Well, we appreciate the interview, Bruce.
Sure.
Everything you do, WFPB, B101. We appreciate all your coverage you do of the sports in Sylacauga. If anybody's got a sports question, they can call Bruce. If
Yeah.
Bruce don't know the answer, he'll get it for them,
I
right?
don't know about that, but yeah, we'll do what we can do. Like I said, I enjoy what we do, and I hope we get to keep doing it for a long time.
Right, and if you or somebody you know might be interested in doing some refereeing, you can get in touch with Bruce, and he'll hook you up with the right person or persons. And like you said, we need men and women
That's right.
referees. And so, thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
See you next time.